Senator Peters. Sorry, Mark.
Thank you, Leader Schumer. Well, as Leader Schumer mentioned, perhaps one of the biggest threats that we face to the homeland right now are persistent cyber attacks that attack individuals, attack small businesses, large companies. No one is immune from these attacks. They continue to escalate and continue to endanger our economy and our general homeland security. And that's why the Homeland Security Committee focused on dealing with this challenge. And as Leader Schumer mentioned, focused on ransomware attacks in particular that can be devastating to any company, but particularly small businesses. In fact, it's been estimated if you are a very small business, that if you get hit by a ransomware attack, you're likely to be out of business within 18 months. This is actually an existential threat to American companies. Large ones as well, as we saw from Colonial Pipeline, were hit by a ransomware attack. It disrupted fuel distribution throughout the southeast part of the United States. Although they paid the ransom was recovered by the FBI, which was extraordinary. Even though they got the keys as a result of paying the ransom, when we had the CEO of the company before our committee, he testified that it would take 18 months for them to recover from where they were, even though they had the keys. This is something that has to be dealt with. It's a significant problem. And when we heard from the director of the FBI and the director of CISA, our Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agency within Homeland Security, they said the first thing that we have to start with is that we have to know who is attacking and how are they attacking. We need to have situational awareness. We're in war here. This is a war against bad cyber actors and criminals and oftentimes nation states. And when you think about going into battle, you have to have situation awareness. You need to know where the enemy is. You need to know the contour of the landscape. That's what this legislation will do. It will require that critical infrastructure companies to report when they have a substantial attack. They'll have to report if they're paying ransom or they have a ransomware attack. And it'll allow both the FBI and CISA and other cyber officials to have a sense of who's actually attacking and what does that attack look like. And part of that response is to notify everybody else to know that it's coming. Businesses need to know this information. I use the example of ourselves in a neighborhood. If you're in a neighborhood and you have a burglar hitting houses in your neighborhood, you want to know that. That's information you want to know, so you lock your doors every night to make sure you're securing it and to make sure the police are driving through your neighborhood as well because there's a burglar. The same thing is with cybersecurity as well, why it's critically important for us to do this. And when you think about today, why today is even more important than any day, is now we know that the Russians tend to be big players when it comes to cyber attacks, either direct attacks against us from the Russian government or cyber criminals that operate out of Russia or other places with a wink and a nod. And now that we are in a situation with Russia and the issue on the Ukrainian border, I think we need to be prepared that if there is any retaliation from the Russians against the United States, it'll likely be cyber. So we need to be prepared. We need to make sure we have every single tool that we can possibly muster in the toolbox to protect Americans from cyber attacks from the Russians, from cyber criminals, from the Chinese, whoever may be involved. Now is the time for action. That's why I hope we pass this bill soon.